Hello there, this is Joy News Today. I am Emefa Akosia Adati. The bulletin is live from our studios here in Kokomlemle, Accra, and on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Top stories this afternoon. Parliament security details set perimeter in front of the chamber to block suspended MPs from accessing chamber. And later to come, Obuasi violent clash. Residents await government's investigation into the incident. We've got these and more in this package. Please stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. This afternoon, there is heightened security in Parliament ahead of proceedings today, with a perimeter set up right at the entrance of the chamber. This is to block the 4 suspended members of Parliament from accessing the chamber, as well as weed out non-MPs from entering. The MPs were suspended for their roles in chaotic scenes last Thursday appointment committee sitting. The House is expected to take a decision on the approval of several ministerial nominees. Well, we'll bring you subsequent details because my colleague Kuko Asante is there present and will bring us any development as to whether the suspension is just at the building or inside the chamber as well. So do stay with us when we get details to bring that. But moving away from that, government has begun a review of the gold for oil policy, holding a crucial meeting with petroleum sector stakeholders amid concerns over potential fuel shortages in the parts of the country. In his first day in the office, Energy Minister John Jinapor met with key industry groups, including the bulk oil distribution companies, the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, and oil transport companies. He assured that government is actively addressing the situation and will take steps to ensure stability in the sector.
Of the petroleum sector, particularly the downstream petroleum sector. The truth is I've worked with quite a number of you over a long period of time. You do recall that in crafting our manifesto, we called on you and you gave us some position papers which fed into crafting of our manifesto. And so having assumed office, it's only proper that we meet you, first of all, to thank you, because by your input, your advice and your engagement, we got very, very important salient points that helped us to convince the Ghanaian people. And so having assumed office, it's only prudent that we first of all thank you on behalf of His Excellency the President, and to assure you that we want to work with you, collaborate with you, and improve the sector. The key issue is to ensure that we have enhanced product security, quality, in a safe manner, in a sustainable manner. We would be taking some suggestions from you. I've already written a letter to you. We want to review the entire downstream petroleum sector and bring it to scratch so that it can be in conformity with modern trends. And so we'll undertake a major review. My predecessor attempted reviewing some portions of the petroleum sector, particularly the NPA Act, but it got stuck in Parliament. And so this time around, we are taking a holistic view of the entire petroleum sector so that we can define rules well, bring about operational efficiency, increase accountability, and ensure that we serve the people of Ghana. And so just to reiterate that, if you haven't forwarded your rep, please kindly do that as soon as possible to the Chief Director so that we can.
Well, away from that, residents of Obuasi are asking government to be swift in its investigation of the military-civilian clash that left 9 dead after miners reportedly breached the security fence at one of the abandoned concessions of Anglo Gold Ashanti and were confronted by the military personnel on guard. President John Mahama ordered an immediate investigation to uncover the circumstances surrounding the incident, but Progress on the process remains unclear to the public barely 2 weeks after the violent clash. We have more from this report.
9 persons died and several others were injured in the clash between some illegal miners and the military in Obuasi on January 18. A day after the violent clash, the president ordered an immediate investigation, assuring the public that anyone found to have acted unlawfully would face justice. Portions of the statement read:
In response to the unfortunate incident, President John Dramani Mahama has ordered an immediate investigation to determine the circumstances surrounding the clashes and ensure that any individuals found to have acted unlawfully are brought to justice.
Ashanti Regional Minister Dr. Frank Amwakwehene, during a visit to the Obuasi community, also assured of the President's commitment to ascertaining circumstances leading to the loss of lives and other severe injuries.
The President has ordered an investigation in the process, so we want to carry everyone along. By the time the matter is brought to a very meaningful conclusion, we still have to find a way to work in tandem with each other and make sure that everyone goes about their businesses pending the report of the investigation.
There is relative calm in Obuasi Township as schools and other socio-economic activities have resumed. However, people are still in limbo on the President's promised investigation into the incident. Joy News checks indicate no public communication yet on the constitution of a committee or commission of inquiry. Families of the deceased are in anticipation of thorough investigation as they demand justice for the lost lives. My son's death can't be normal. I suspect someone commanded them to kill my son. We must know who ordered the commander to open fire. We want the government to bring finality to the matter so we know the truth in there. The concerned citizens of Adanse, a community-based advocacy group, is urging the fair and transparent conduct of investigations to serve justice. Anthony Kofi Nature, president of the group, wants immediate government support, including compensation to affected families.
We are very much aware that the government has issued a statement suggesting that Anglo-Good Ashanti should take charge of the bills and the barrier and all sort of things of the affected. We also think that government also has a responsibility of taking some of these bills to make sure that people are satisfied with the sort of compensations that will be given to their families.
Families and residents in Obuasi are eagerly anticipating immediate investigations to find lasting solutions. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bratkweku.
Right, so Emmanuel Bratkweku joins us with updates. Emmanuel, let's get clarity. And so this concerned residents is asking that they get some compensation before the investigation is done, or what's the anxiety?
So MFA basically for the residents, they are demanding compensation in terms of the burial cost. That's the president directed that Anglo-Good Ashanti should cover for these individuals who were dead, and also with respect to those who were injured during this particular violent clash that happened on January 18, 2025. And so for them, the compensation generally should be on the damages the violent clash resulted. And so for the past few weeks that this incident has happened, they explained that they haven't really received anything formal communication as to how this particular incident happened, or even with respect to investigations that are ongoing. But what I have gathered so far with respect to this particular incident, according to some of my sources, they explain that they've actually gone through with some investigations with respect to even those who are in the hospital. And so for now, it hasn't really concluded. The finality has not been brought onto this particular matter because those who are in the hospital, we understand that some 4 persons are still in the hospital as we speak, receiving treatment. And so as and when they go there and then find out, engage with them on how they are really faring. And these are all parts of the processes for the investigations. And so for the residents themselves, they are urging that something can be the investigations could actually be expedited so that they bring finality to the matter, because with the speculations that were ongoing with respect to how this whole issue came about, they want the government to urgently bring finality to this particular matter so that people will know the truth with respect to this issue that happened in Obuasi MFA.
Well, thank you, Emmanuel. I'm certain that it's not just the residents in Obuasi that want some finality. All of us as a country would want finality to that. And so we're keeping an eye on that. And away from Obuasi, the National Union of Ghana Students has also said that, well, the WAEC has withheld some results of suspected students who they think that were involved in malpractices or examination malpractices, and have also given some ultimatum. Now, I'm saying that those who sat in the 2024 examination, NUCS is also asking that there should be transparency and accessibility, at least to appeal the process for candidates with issues as to the report. But I've been joined by Daniel Bochewa, I would get their name very well here, and he's the NUCS president. Boche, is that the name or what's the correct name?
Daniel Boche.
Thank you so much, Daniel Boche. It's a pretty simple one, forgive us. Yeah. But so we know that as of today, the candidates who sat for that examination have asked that the results be released, because then really they haven't been pinned down with particular evidence that they were engaged in malpractices. The High Court ordered that. Yeah. Let's get to the understanding. What does NUCS really want?
So when this whole process started, National Union of Ghana Students, which represents the interest of all Ghanaian students, wrote to the WAEC on the 2nd of January. Complained about key issues fundamental to the release of the results. WAEC had released a report stating that they had cancelled some results, subject results. They had also cancelled entire results of some students and have withheld some of the results. We were concerned about the processes because WAEC holds enormous discretionary power. And as a nation, our 1992 Constitution mandates that anybody which is clothed with discretionary power must make sure that they are fair in the dispensation of those discretionary powers. And so they invited us for a meeting on the 10th, and we met their leadership, including the head of legal, the head of corporate affairs, head of malpractice at WAEC. And we put our concerns squarely before them as it was in our written petition. They assured us that they were going to look into all these issues. One of them was the timeliness of the investigations they were carrying out when it came to their withheld results. Because we made it clear to them that once you have released some of the results and some people are getting admission and others have been withheld under suspicion of collusion, what happens when you release the results subsequently and nothing is found and yet admissions are over? And they said they were going to work at it quickly. Indeed, after that meeting, that weekend, some results were released. Subsequently, some were released. But a majority, bulk of them, are still being withheld. As we speak, almost all the public universities are done with admissions. So we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this, but we're taking our viewers back to Parliament where there's something happening in the chamber.
Injustice that has been meted out to some of their colleagues, and that is why you see a lot of them in red and white, in red and black, I should say, actually, making the point about this decision having to be changed. And so a lot of them in that, and they're making the point that the Speaker of Parliament has to reverse that decision. We'll speak to a number of them as they make their way back into the chamber, with a lot of them wearing black
and read to register their concerns and their opposition to the decision of Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagwin to suspend 3 of their colleagues, and they say the Speaker of Parliament must reverse that decision. If not, they will continue in this way of protest. Let me speak to you briefly. We're live on Joy News. What is the base? Why are you in this action?
We are resisting oppressors' rule, as simple as that.
Who's the oppressor?
We have a constitutional democracy. We have constitutional supremacy. We do not have a speakership supremacy.
Okay, so Honorable, let me speak to you briefly. Just a second. I mean, just give me a brief understanding of what's going on.
You get to hear and get to see after everything is done and settled.
Okay. So you are going to be in red and black today?
Let's all be in the chamber.
All right. So you see a number of NPP MPs, red and black. You see the former Education Minister, Dr. Yaoduchu Mosei, following same red and black today to register. What they say is they are resistance to oppressors' rule. You heard me speak to one NPP MP there, and he made that point forcefully that they believe that this is oppressors' rule, and so they are making their way into the chamber, and we'll get to see how it goes. You see Honorable Habib Idrisu and the other leaders trying to make sure that their members go in there. We don't understand if there's any challenge because the marshal is out there having a conversation with them. We do not know if they are preventing them from having access to the chamber dressed the way they are now, and what exactly this is going to lead to. But you see the First Deputy Minority Whip Habib Idrisu leading the process and leading to ensure that these persons, that the door is locked. I can confirm to you that the door is locked now, and the MPs are now making the point.
What is going on? You have to open it. We can't open it. You have to open it as soon as possible. You have to open it. What is going on?
These are NPP MPs you see in your shorts, dressed in black generally, and carrying red armbands and everything. They say that they are going into the chamber today to protest and ultimately register their displeasure against the decision that have been taken by the Speaker of Parliament. They are singing, they are chanting, and they are registering their displeasure as to what is going on. Patriotic songs.
And help us to resist oppressors.
This protest is really predicated on the decision of Alban Bagwin to suspend 3 of their colleagues. 4 members of Parliament in total have been suspended, 3 on the NPP side, 1 on the NDC side. Yesterday, the minority did hold a news conference where they registered their spleen, made their point as to the Speaker of Parliament being stopped from going ahead with this decision. And so today, they've tried to make their way into the chamber, but the chamber has been locked by now. Right, so this is a member of Parliament for trouble. You understand the chamber has been locked? Is that your understanding?
We don't know. We don't know. People vote for us. We are members of Parliament. We are not criminals. We are not criminals. The good people of Trouble constituency vote for me.
Honorable, when you came earlier on, the door was open, and then you went out there, you chanted out, it appears the door is locked. What's going on? What do you know?
The last time we adjourned, that was on Friday. Sitting was supposed to resume today, 12 o'clock. We are here, and all of a sudden the door is locked. We don't know what is happening. And we are representing the people. People voted for us. The people of Nalo Gamba constituency voted for me to come and represent them. I got 34,200 votes to come and represent the people, and I must represent the people in this chamber. The Speaker cannot be tossing us like school kids. He is not our head teacher. He is the Speaker of Parliament, and we made him the Speaker. He wasn't voted for. We voted for him. The people voted for us, and we voted for him. He can't be treating us like primary school kids. We are members of Parliament representing our various constituencies, and we need to accord that respect.
Okay. So the NPP MPs really not very happy about all that is going on. Honorable Samioku, what's going on? Honorable Samioku, you are not speaking now.
We are not speaking now.
But briefly, I just want to know what's going on. Is the door locked or something?
The door is locked, basically. They are also saying that because you are in red armband, that's why they are not allowing us in. But we speak to the media after.
Right, and so our understanding, we are getting some understanding of what exactly is going on here. Our understanding is that the entrance to the chamber has been locked. The Marshal to Parliament is informing them that they are being prevented from entry because of the red armbands and the red scarves that they have on in protest of all that is going on. And that is why the chamber has been locked for now. And so that is the situation. And the leadership are in the middle of all this, trying to negotiate and trying to resolve this challenge ultimately and get the MPs to walk in. And so we'll get there and we'll speak to some more persons as to how this process is expected to unfold over here.
The member for Wait and
NPP MPs in red and black protesting the decision of the Speaker of Parliament to suspend some of their colleagues. And so we'll try and get some understanding of what exactly is going on here, how this may be resolved ultimately, and whether this may lead to very confrontational scenes in Parliament today. So we will get some understanding of all that is happening pretty shortly and try and speak to some of the members of Parliament who are here. And the points that they've made, Honorable Mr. McBuatin is... Minister, Honorable, what's going on here today? And what was... We understand that the chamber has been locked because you dress in a way that the Marshal cannot allow you to go inside.
Oh, come on. When the NDC dresses up in this way and they come to the chamber, do they lock the doors? We don't want to believe that there's a partisan agenda going on. We are here to go into the chamber to continue with work. Sitting was adjourned till noon today. It's past noon. We are here. We've seen NDC members in the chamber. They've allowed them in, and they are not allowing us into the chamber. We are waiting. Our leaders are having a conversation with Mr. Speaker. We are waiting, and then hopefully they'll open up for us to go into the chamber.
That's to taking off your red armbands to go in there and serve your constituents. Is that a compromise you are willing to strike?
The standing orders are clear on what is unparliamentary attire, what makes somebody naked, and what is allowed. None of what you see here is against the standing orders of Parliament.
Right, thank you very much. Honorable, I mean, you've also come in here wearing red as like a captain, solidarizing with your members who have been suspended. The Speaker says he's acting in pursuance of the standing orders and the rules. That gives him the power to do so.
As a matter of fact, we met as a caucus and then been advised not to grant any interview whatsoever. So immediately we enter the chamber and we are satisfied and we come out. I will talk to you, sir.
Okay, right. And so that is the situation here. You see NPP MPs, they are still stuck at the entrance, by the way. They have not been allowed to get in. The chamber has been locked. I'm getting an understanding that the decision is that they are dressed in a fashion that is unparliamentary, for which reason they are not allowed to get in. And so when we get in ultimately and speak to some of these persons as to what exactly is going on, whether there will be a resolution to this and how this will ultimately end. A number of them packed at the entrance trying to sort this out, and if they are able to sort it out, then they will be allowed to get into the chamber. It's not confrontational yet, but it's not so good there as we speak, with the NPP MPs in their numbers stuck at the entrance of Parliament because of the way they are dressed, and they are trying to negotiate, try and get some buy-in, some understanding, and then ultimately they will go in and do parliamentary business. You've just heard me speak to Kojo Nkrumah. He says that they expect that a chamber will be open to them, that proceedings was adjourned to noon today, and they have to go get in there and do their work. They don't want to believe that there is a partisan agenda to actually stop them from doing their work, and that is why they've gone in there. I will speak to some more members of Parliament to try and get an understanding of what will happen going forward. Will they accept any compromise position to actually take off the red armbands, the red scarves, and then ultimately go in there and go and do their work, or they will continue to resist until these issues are resolved. Kojo Pankum also told me that their leadership are in a meeting trying to resolve this situation to get some understanding and get the doors to the Parliament of Ghana open. Is jam choked, is packed right at the entrance of the Parliament of Ghana, and you see a security perimeter set up by the security in Parliament, preventing the members of Parliament from walking in. And so ultimately, if this happens, we'll get to know how this will go. Honorable, I mean, what's going on? You are in black, red. What exactly are you protesting?
That one, honestly, when we get in there, you are going to see whatever happens there. Definitely, you are going to see. Because for now, our leaders have advised us that we should exercise patience in terms of even speaking to you, the media. We should be very careful. I mean, you get it. Okay.
Right. So we understand some compromise is being reached as we speak, that the red armbands and other things will be taken off, so that the members of Parliament will be allowed to go in, and perhaps when they do go in, then they will actually put it back on. And so you see a lot of the NPP MPs who came in with red armbands, some of them using it as scarves, trying to have a compromise position. They've ultimately removed a number of it, and I see the deputy whip going around and explaining to their colleagues that they have to do that. Perhaps take it off, put it in their pocket, and make their way into the chamber. And if they do make their way into the chamber, perhaps put it back on. That is not information that I'm privy to in the way things are happening now. But the colleagues are getting in. Honorable Ntim Fajo, you're being blocked so far from accessing the chamber. What exactly is going on? Blocked from getting in. What's going on? You are being blocked so far.
We're waiting for the marshals to open the entrance to the chamber. We are here to perform our constitutional duty as elected members of Parliament. This is the chamber we set to work, to deliberate, to make laws. And so we are here to work in national interest, to undertake our civic responsibility. We are only waiting for the marshals to open us. So that's what we are waiting for.
Thank you. That is the honorable member making his point as to what exactly is happening. I mean, have you been given an indication as to when you're going to be allowed to go in and what it will take?
We're all elected here. So definitely we are elected members to represent our constituency, and you cannot just sit down unilaterally to suspend members of Parliament as if they have been invited to a birthday party. This is a house that members are elected to come and represent their constituent. The decision of the Speaker is unfortunate. The decision of the Speaker is an illegal. He doesn't have that power. He has overreached his powers, and that is why you see us all in black to register our disappointment and our disapproval of that. It is a black day for our democracy if we allow this thing to stand.
Finally, who expects your side to approve the ministerial nominees? The reports are ready.
Immediately after the Speaker gives an order, and then we walk out of the chamber. Any other person who was vetted, it is an illegality, because the appointment committee under Order 217 was not properly constituted. It was not about quorum issue. It is about being properly constituted, because the minority and the majority whip are mentioned in the standing orders to constitute the appointment committee before they come and say that any other member. If you read that standing order very well, it says the first deputy speaker being the chairman, the minority leader being the ranking member, the deputy majority leader being the vice chairman, the majority whip, the minority whip, and 5 other members. So we are not asking about quorum. We are talking about the committee being constituted. And Speaker himself agreed that the committee was not properly constituted. That's why in his directive he said that the selection committee must meet today to reconsider the appointment committee. By his action, he was convinced that the appointment committee was not properly constituted anymore. And you could see that that day they rushed almost every other appointee to be vetted in that illegality, and we will not be part of it. When we get to the bridge, we will cross the bar. For today, we are registering our displeasure on the suspension of our 3 colleagues.
Thank you. So that is Habib Idrisu there explaining to us. This time around we are getting some information from leadership themselves as to why exactly they are wearing red and black, and ultimately whether or not they are going to be allowed to access the chamber. We understand the compromise position is that they take off the red armbands and other things, and then they will be allowed to get into the chamber. But from what we are learning, even if they take it off so that they are allowed to get into the chamber, they will still put it on when they get in there to register their displeasure on the decision of Alban Bagbin to suspend 4 MPs. And for those of you just catching up, it's very fiery scenes right at the entrance of the chamber. The chamber has been locked as we speak. A number of the NPP MPs who've come in here have not been allowed to get in. When the NPP MPs made their way from the Job 600 and got here, they did first go to the entrance of the Parliament of Ghana. They did sing some patriotic songs, they sang their party's anthem, and then made their way back expecting to be allowed to enter the chamber. When they got here, they were met with some officers of the Marshal Department, that is the Security Department of Parliament, ensuring that this process was blocked, this space was cordoned off, and they were not allowed to get in there. And for those of you very familiar with the way Parliament proceeds, when you watch, some of these things are new in Parliament, all these barricades at the entrance of the chamber. It is not something that we usually see. This place is usually very free. Whenever members of Parliament come in, they are allowed to walk in straight and get into the chamber because of their identification cards that they use. But this time around, this perimeter has been set up right at the entrance, blocking their access, ensuring that they are not going to allow them in for some time. But as of now, we understand some agreement is being reached in terms of the red armbands that they are carrying. And if they take that off, perhaps they'll be allowed in. A number of them have taken it off, but the chamber is still not open for them to access it. The leadership of the other side have also not come in. I've not seen Alexander Afenyo-Markin. I've seen his deputy, Patricia Piejay, over here. I've seen the deputy whip, Habib Idrisu, also here. So a number of them already here. I've already seen them. Let's see if I understand the minority leader may be coming. Alexander Afenyo-Markin, you see him there together with the General Secretary of the NPP. They are trying to make their way in there. They are using the entrance to the Speaker's lobby. The leader asking them to calm things down, and then they can resolve this. The leader, the General Secretary of the party, is also there, and so they are going to have a conversation. The leader beckoning to the Marshal to have a conversation at the Speaker's lobby. Ultimately, if any agreement is reached, if they are able to reach some consensus position on this, then the entrance to the Chamber of Parliament will be open for the members of Parliament to go in there. But for now, not a single NPP MP has been able to make his way into the chamber because of the standoff currently at the entrance, given the way they are dressed and how things are going. And so, Echo, you can take it up back in the studio, Faustina and the team, as this situation is unfolding. We'll give you picture-in-picture, we'll give you live shots as we try to get an understanding of what exactly is going to happen going forward. Will there be an agreement for the NPP MPs to dump the red and black, in particular the red scarves they are using, and then get in there and do their business? At what point is the Speaker of Parliament going to come in, and what decision will the Speaker of Parliament going to take to this? But mind you, this decision that the NPP are taking is in protest and is in opposition to the decision by Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin to suspend 4 MPs, 3 of them their colleagues, because of the disorderly conduct we did see last week Thursday evening at the Appointment Committee of Parliament.
Well, thank you so much, Kweku. You really want to stay with us. We'll bring you up to date, everything that happens in Parliament, while we wait for that meeting with leadership of both the minority and the majority in Parliament. Do stay with us. But still in the studio is the president of NUCS, and who was bringing me an update on what's happening with the candidates that start for the 2024 WAEC exams, I'll say WASI exams, I should say, Mr. Daniel Boche. Thank you. You're such a generous man, very kind and patient with me in the studio. So you're telling us an update that the chunk or the bulk number of persons that sat who have been affected by this decision by WAEC, some of their results have been released. Some of those people.
Yes, some has been released subsequently.
Is it a very good number of persons? Or
not at all. We don't have the actual statistics.
Okay.
WAEC, in their response to our initial petition, wrote to us that they have finished their first round of investigation and have released some. About 4 days ago, we published a publication asking affected students to reach out to our Legal and Student Affairs Committee. It will surprise you to note the volumes of complaints that have reached our offices. Over 1,500 complaints have reached us so far, and These students are calling in anguish. Parents are calling. Their children have fallen into depression because they are unable to apply to the universities, and admissions are closing. Most of the admissions are closed.
I would have thought that the lawyer for the candidates who sought the High Court to allow them to at least the results be released because they haven't been determined anything yet.
Exactly.
I would have thought that WAEC would have, adhered. But WAEC also says that they're seeking a stay of execution.
Precisely. And you see, that is where NUCS is feeling that we are being taken for a ride.
They gave a legitimate concern.
Good. You know, everybody has the right to appeal on any matter that goes to court. Our issue is, if as an examination body, you have conducted exams and you are about to release results, and you feel that you are not done with your work, then hold on. Don't release some of the results as they did, and then withhold some under investigation, and release them as and when you are done with your investigation. Because the whole investigative process and the rest is part of the examination that you are doing. And so why would you release some for some to get admission to school, and then you release some now? You are now inviting people to come and justify some of the issues for you to investigate. I have real cases from last 2 years, where some people's results were withheld. By the time the results were released, admissions were over. They had to resort to private universities and the rest in order to get admission.
So particularly, what are you asking WAEC to do?
What we are asking WAEC to do is that within the next 7 days, whatever investigation they are doing, they should be done. If they believe that they are right and that the students have engaged in exam malpractice, they should proceed with their rules and cancel the results.
All in 7 days?
If not, they should release the results for the students to have access to admission. Our second main issue with them is the cancellation of entire results in isolated cases of malpractice.
Okay.
In cases where a student takes in, let's say, a mobile phone or writes on the skin or something to go and take a particular paper, what WAEC does is that they cancel the entire results of the students. So let's say you are going to write your 5th paper, your last.
Is this a novel practice by WAEC?
This is something they have been doing,
in
actual fact. And so when this issue came to my attention, I went into their regulation because I wanted to know where it was coming from. In actual fact, they have a regulation that states that if you participate in a malpractice of that nature, they should cancel your entire results. And when we met them, I raised this to them and told them it was unfair.
I'll let you go, but finally, after 7 days, if WAEC does not adhere to this petition, then what?
National Union of Ghana Students, NUCS, represent all Ghanaian students from preschool to tertiary. We are going to mobilize all students to protest. We will occupy their offices nationwide. And then from there, we will proceed to court. We are going to press home our demands until the welfare of students are fully adhered to.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your patience as well. Right, moving on, a pro-women group, Affirmative Action, is asking President John Mahama to include women in his nomination for Metropolitan, Municipal and District Chief Executive Officers of the Upper West region. The group says it's worrying that there are no female in the 33 shortlisted names. Gender Equity and Social Inclusion Lead for Community Development Alliance, Lydia Darlington Fojo, called on President Mahama to reject the shortlisted names because there are qualified women for the MMDC's role in the Upper West region.
When he stated that he will ensure the appointment of at least 30% of women in his government, that solemn promise to the gallant women of Ghana and the Upper West region contained in the NDC 2024 election manifesto, which aligns very well with the Affirmative Action Law, recently passed by the Parliament of Ghana, represents a valid social contract, a promise that must be kept. While we commend His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama for his bold declaration to ensure women representation in leadership and governance in our dear country, we are quick to bring to his attention a recent occurrence in the Upper West region, which has the potential to significantly undermine the President's promise of 30% women inclusion in his government. We note with complete shock and disbelief that out of a total of 33 shortlisted candidates for consideration for appointment by His Excellency the President for the positions of metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives, not a single woman was named among the list. This is clearly not right and unacceptable. How are we to believe that no woman in Ghana's Upper West region is qualified or worthy for appointment to the position of district or municipal chief executive? We, the Affirmative Action Coalition Group in the Upper West region, totally reject the shortlisted candidates for the position of municipal and district chief executives. We affirm in our demand that His Excellency, the President, must, as a matter of urgency, reject the said list submitted to him by the vetting committee in the region. We call on the President to be bold, intentional, and deliberate in appointing qualified and competent women of the Upper West region to support in delivering his well-intended reset agenda in Ghana.
Well, let's speak to everybody's favorite, Rafiq Salam, for more on this. Rafiq, so we understand the call for gender equity and balance in that region, but let's understand the process so far.
The Upper West region, a total of 156 persons have really applied for the top job in their various districts, municipalities in the Upper West region. Out of this number, 7 of them were women from 4 districts. And then the vetting committee were expected to at least shortlist 33 persons for consideration by John Dramani Mahama to be appointed as MDCs in the Upper West region. And from the release that we had a couple of days ago from the Upper West Regional Vetting Committee of the NDC, which was headed by Upper West Regional Minister nominee, Lawyer Charles Wonga Pozun, had 33 of these names that came up. And out of these 33 names that came up, none of them were women. And so this group calling themselves Affirmative Action Coalition are deeply worried to the marrow. And they
for
said
today's
they are
session to fall.
Right. Out of the 156 persons that went for the interview, 33 shortlisted, none of them were women. And so they are calling on President John Dramani Mahama to really reject that list that was sent by the NDC vetting committee, and also have a look at the issue and appoint competent, more qualified women in the Upper West region to be MDCs. They also argued that in the last year, in the previous administration, they had 3 women in the administration of Nana Akufo-Addo.
As well as votes and proceedings, correction of votes and proceedings.
No woman in the Upper West region is part of this, and so they are wondering why they have gotten from 3 to 0, and so they call a change in order to change the status quo, so that at least 4 women from the Upper West region will be appointed as MDCs in the Upper West region. They also made a point that they thought that the regional minister would also have been a woman, because none of the appointees in the Upper West region here is a woman, so they think that that particular opportunity should have been given to a woman to take care of the needs of women. And so they also use that opportunity to call on Vice President Professor J. Nana Akufo-Addo to come clean on what the statement that he made one time, saying that she's going to be the vanguard of women. This is the right time to act.
Well, Rafiq, so they are asking that the set of women who did not qualify for this stage, they can be set aside, but they can provide other women who are duly qualified for the role. Or they insist that the government still look at the pool of persons that came for vetting and did not qualify. What's really the concern?
Yes, the people of in summation, they are talking about the people, the 7 women who filed their nominations to be these MDCs. And so if the president look at that, that list, at least they will know that the women who are qualified, who are competent to lead the affairs are in the Upper West region. Okay. Beyond that, they are also saying that there are a lot of qualified women in the Upper West region who could get these some of these positions. And so the president should have a look at that, because the president stated that 30% of what appointees should come from the women folk. And so that's what they are saying, that at least we can't have a region which is only manned by men.
That's very understandable. Thank you so much, Rafiq Salam. And he forgot to say that he's reporting for Joy News and wow. But right now, I'll take you back to the Parliament, and we're taking you inside the chamber because the NPP members of Parliament have been allowed in the chamber. Let's see how that's panning out.
now as the NPP MPs now take their seats in their red and black. Initially, they did come in there wearing red armbands, using it as scarf and other things, but they were forced to beat a retreat on that. They did hit a compromise and then came into the chamber without the red scarves and the red armbands. But as we speak, you see a high-power delegation from the New Patriotic Party, led by the national chairman himself, the general secretary, a host of other executives from the New Patriotic Party who are here in Parliament to offer support to their colleagues in Parliament. They say they are opposed to the decision of Speaker of Parliament to suspend 4 of their colleagues. Yesterday, a very powerful statement that was signed by the general secretary, describing the conduct of the Speaker of Parliament as capricious, as dictatorial, and making the point that ultimately this is not a decision that they will want to stand. In fact, we heard the general secretary did speak, the deputy general secretary did speak to us on Joy News and made the point that ultimately they expect that, given that in their consideration, this is a completely unconstitutional decision, that this will not stand, and that ultimately the MPs in question will be allowed to come into the chamber. We've seen a perimeter that has been set up right at the entrance that blocks off any person from attempting to come in without due authorization, and so the marshal himself is leading the process with respect to that. But you can see a number of NDC MPs themselves also coming into the chamber. They have about 188 if you add the 187, I should say, if you add the 4 independent MPs that have decided to caucus with them. It is not so much of a packed majority side, but a number of the NPP MPs have come in there. Let me try and see if I can stoke the honest and try and see if I can speak to the very top echelons of the New Patriotic Party who are here to support their caucus and drum home the demand that the Speaker's decision is untenable, and that is not something they will allow to stand. General Secretary, we are live on Joy News. Today you've come in here to support your members of Parliament to make the point about the suspension of the MPs.
Us coming to Parliament is no news. We always come and support our parliamentarians. So it's part of the usual work that we have been doing. So we are here to let them know they have the support of the mother party and we stand with them. Very simple.
That is the General Secretary giving us some word as to why they are here, and he's offered that clarity that, listen, this is part of what they do as leaders. They come in here to support their colleagues and their members of Parliament and make the point that they are always with them. National Chairman, you were also here yesterday at the news conference. You are here again to offer support of your MPs.
Yeah, our support to our members here is unrelenting. We can't afford to leave them come here alone.
Stephen, a team there. The national organizer himself, Henry Nanabuachi, I haven't seen you. Your bosses have spoken, so you wouldn't want to say anything. Right, so I've spoken to the chairman, I've spoken to the general secretary. They've come in here where the position, why they are here. Ultimately, this is not something that they say they are going to allow to stand. And so, but ultimately, they've offered clarity as to why they are here, to offer support to their MPs who are in black, some of them in red, a few of them, pockets of them, to drum home this point that Alban Bagbin will not be allowed to get away with the decision he has taken. For those of you wondering, Speaker has taken the decision to suspend 4 MPs for their various involvements in the disorder that we saw at the appointment committee last week, Thursday evening, that led to the breaking of tables, the microphones getting destroyed. And the Speaker took that decision the next day. He also set up a 7-member committee chaired by Emmanuel Kwesi-Bedzira, 2 from the NPP, 5 from the NDC, to investigate this. Tomorrow, they will begin to hold public hearings on this matter and then ultimately bring a report to the floor after 10 days. That is the duration the Speaker of Parliament has given them to do that. But the NPP have said that the Speaker of Parliament adopted a procedure that is alien to what they know in Parliament, and that ultimately they consider what the Speaker did as unconstitutional, is a breach of the standing orders. And so yesterday they did send that 5-page memo to Alban Bagbin, asking him to suspend the decision he has taken and allow those members of Parliament to come back to the floor and do and perform their responsibilities as members of Parliament. But following to this, NPP MPs walked in today wearing black in full. A few of them spotted wearing red. They also had red scarves, red armbands to drum home this demand. This led to some little challenge at the entrance because the decision taken by the marshal was that those dressing were not parliamentary and they were not going to be allowed to get in. But ultimately, they struck a compromise and they were allowed to get back into the chamber. So you see them in the chamber now without the scarf, without the armbands, because the agreement was that they will not be allowed. But I saw a number of them put that in their pockets. And so that will mean that ultimately, if they are prompted to, and if they so decide, they will show that up in the chamber to register their strong disapproval of the decision of the Speaker of Parliament. The ball now is the court of the Speaker. We expect that he will preside over the sitting today. And when he does come in, what decision is he going to take? Is he going to acquiesce to the demand of the minority and lift the suspension, which is expected to be 2 weeks? It's already in its third day today. Or that suspension will carry on and that suspension will be retained up until a point when they suffer the consequence of that. And also when the report of the special committee comes in, the 10 days that has been given them, also in its third day now, will they be able to complete the public hearings tomorrow and put together a report and present to the floor for a decision to be taken on that. And so that is the situation in Parliament. NPP MPs, you see in your shot, black, registering their strongest opposition to the decision of the Speaker and protesting that decision.
Well, that's Parliament, that's so far. But do stay with us because it looks like it's going to be quite a long day in Parliament, as the arrangement earlier was to at least approve the nominees that had been vetted earlier. And looking at the way it's panning, I agree with you that it's going to be a very long day. You'd rather stay with us. But that'll be all for now on the bulletin. But do stay with us for subsequent bulletin. My name is MFA Akosia Adeti. Thank you for watching.